Every day, thousands of girls around the world join webcam studios and sincerely think they found the perfect job. Flexible hours, good income, no boss over their heads. But the picture begins to change from the very first shift. On the surface, it's a typical rented room with a computer and good lighting. Inside, there's a system of rules, penalties, and controls that weren't mentioned in the ad. The ads are all the same. Flexible hours, high income, complete freedom of action. The girls go there as students, some from small towns, others just looking for a quick buck. The reality turns out to be different. Websites take up to 70% of the income. The studio takes another half of what's left. And all this before fines. For being late, for being in a bad mood, for being overweight. Most girls don't carefully read what they sign before their first shift. And by the time they do, it's too late. The rules inside the studio are completely separate from the contract. 7 to 12-hour shifts under hot lamps, thousands of messages, a constant smile, and all that minus the fines. And after the shift, you go home with an empty wallet and the words of others in your head. This is the freedom you see in the ad. Why weigh employees before a work shift? It's common practice in webcam studios. An extra 100 grams is a real fine, immediately deducted from your earnings. In some studios, the list of appearance requirements resembles a modeling agency audition. There's a ban after 6 p.m., mandatory exercise, and weekly measurements. These aren't just requests, they're working conditions. The management's logic is simple. Clients pay for their appearance. Appearance brings in money, so their bodies must meet the required standards. But many girls weren't aware of these standards until their first day at the studio. Constant pressure on weight triggers a chain reaction. Anxiety increases, eating disorders develop, and obsessive thoughts about their body develop. Psychologists say such attitudes can damage self-esteem long-term, sometimes permanently. About half of the models surveyed reported a deterioration in their psychological state precisely because of appearance requirements. These aren't rare cases. It's a common practice that's not usually discussed publicly. Some former models say they started thinking about plastic surgery after just a few months of work. Not because they wanted to, but because they were told every day, "You're not good enough." Quote, how do you keep someone in a place where they're struggling? It's simple. First, convince them they're doing well. Studio managers masterfully alternate between praise and humiliation, gradually causing the girl to lose her bearings. The pattern is similar everywhere. First they praise you, then they pressure you, then they threaten you. They tell the girls that everything is worse at other studios, that only here do they care. Leaving means losing everything. One model wasn't allowed to attend her brother's funeral. Her shift was planned. Another was fired because someone found her social media profile. A third was convinced that her low earnings were her own fault. The monitoring doesn't end with the end of the shift. Managers message at night, demand reports, and monitor the girl's online activity. The boundary between work and personal life completely disappears, and this is part of the system, not an accident. Specialists who work with victims report the same thing: chronic anxiety, fear of making independent decisions, mistrust of the people around them. All of this is a consequence of what happens inside such studios. Working 7 to 8 hours under the lights, meeting thousands of strangers every day, and being required to always smile. That's more than just fatigue. It's what experts call chronic emotional abuse.
Right around the heart.
Webcam studios often tell girls, "We don't record, everything is safe." But these recordings later become the main retention tool, and managers know this from the start. The scheme is simple. A girl wants to leave, but they remind her about the recordings. They threaten to leak everything to her loved ones, make it public, or send it to her friends. She stays, not because she wants to, but because she's afraid. Sometimes the threats come not from the studio, but from the clients. They secretly save recordings of broadcasts and then contact the model directly. In some countries, this has become a separate business. Organized groups that profit from this very thing. According to journalistic investigations, entire networks of people tracked down models through social media and extorted money. Some girls paid again and again just to keep the recordings from being publicly available. Only a few managed to contact lawyers or the police. Most fear publicity more than the threats themselves. Ultimately, the person pays, keeps silent, and is left alone with the situation, one they didn't create. The fear of recordings leaking unites everyone, those who are happy with their work and those who aren't. Even the girls who left the studio many years ago live with the feeling that someone is holding a lever over them. How do webcam studios retain people without physical violence? It turns out it's not difficult. Contracts include a ransom for the account. Sums can reach several $1,000s. Leaving is not easy. Besides the account ransom, the girl accumulates debt to the studio for equipment, training, promotion, and advertising. By the time she wants to leave, it becomes clear. First, she has to pay it all back. The cycle closes. Those who do decide to leave face a new problem. Working independently is difficult. You need equipment, knowledge of websites, and marketing skills. Dependence on the studio was intentional. It's a vicious cycle. They convince you that without the studio, you're worthless. They take away your income through fines. They keep you hooked through threats. And by the time you finally leave, you're too scared to take a step. This industry operates in the shadows because they prefer to keep it quiet. The girls fear publicity, the studio owners fear audits, and the clients fear their reputations. But the more people know how this system works, the harder it is to remain hidden. If you or someone close to you find yourself in a similar situation, know this: it shouldn't be this way. It's not the norm, and there is a way out. Subscribe to the channel and watch other episodes. It's important.